And the idea that we need to like scan our face to be able to vote, like, why can't we just use driver's licenses or like other physical IDs? Like, why does it have to be all of a sudden this biometric crap that is not just being rolled in the US, rolled out in the US right now? They're rolling it out in the EU and the UK. It's in Chile. They're rolling it out everywhere, globally. And it's clearly a global agenda. It's the cornerstone of Agenda 2030, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So this is the way they're selling it to the American public as a solution for voter ID issues and for illegal immigration issues, which again, the illegal immigration situation was allowed to happen. It was clearly intentional.
In June 2023, the World Economic Forum, led by Klaus Schwab, released a report titled Reimagining Digital ID, detailing how a global decentralized digital ID system can provide access to services for individuals and groups currently lacking traditional identification. The report emphasizes that these decentralized IDs will leverage cryptography, digital wallets, and related technologies to allow multiple entities to contribute credentials, empowering individuals to manage their data. The envisioned system aims to create a trust triangle between issuers, holders, and verifiers. Issuers, such as entities that digitally sign attestations, provide these credentials to holders, while verifiers, including social media platforms, local electoral bodies, employers, banks, and governments, assess the attestations to determine if holders meet their requirements. The issuers of these decentralized IDs are likely to be the same Silicon Valley tech companies known for data privacy concerns, which raises skepticism about the initiative's intentions. The report's creation involved an international collaboration of over 100 experts from both public and private sectors, highlighting the WEF's commitment to global public-private partnerships, a concept frequently discussed among global elites in recent years. This approach aligns with other initiatives like the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, the WEF's partnership against cybercrime, and the carbon credit system, all advocating for similar collaborations. In a recent interview with TFTC, investigative journalist Whitney Webb critically examines the digital ID system, arguing it poses significant threats to individual rights. She contends that these global public-private partnerships are pushing the digital ID agenda, potentially stripping people of their freedoms under the guise of technological advancement and security.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
Well, wasn't that the policy though of like libertarians before? It was like, let's dismantle all the stuff set up after 9/11 that's like harmful to our freedoms, like the TSA, or like let's, but instead we're getting like this privatized CIA connected version through, companies like Anduril or, Clearview AI and all of this other stuff that's either tied to Peter Thiel or it's tied to some other Silicon Valley oligarch. And the idea that we need to like scan our face to be able to vote, like, why can't we just use driver's licenses or like other physical IDs? Like, why does it have to be all of a sudden this biometric crap that is not just being rolled in the US, rolled out in the US right now? They're rolling it out in the EU and the UK. It's in Chile. They're rolling it out everywhere. Globally. And it's clearly a global agenda. It's the cornerstone of Agenda 2030, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and a key part of the directly related to those global policing goals of Interpol, which is like almost every country in the world is a member of Interpol. So this is the way they're selling it to the American public as a solution for voter ID issues and for illegal immigration issues, which again, the illegal immigration situation was allowed to happen. It was clearly intentional. And considering that like this biometric stuff at the border and as far as digital ID is a bipartisan agenda, both parties work together to make the conditions for that to happen. One creates the problem and the other sweeps in with the solution that everyone's clamoring for because the problem has been allowed to become so bad. And I think it's not just with biometric digital ID. You're going to see it with the programmable surveillable currency. You're going to see it with pretty much everything that's going to be pitched to you as a solution to all of these problems we have. But really, the solutions are going to just give us, increased surveillance and march us closer to this techno tyranny that's been built by the national security state in close collaboration with the private sector, and particularly Silicon Valley, even before 9/11 happened. But obviously after that, it got supercharged in very significant ways. And I think cheerleading this kind of stuff, people need to be a lot more vigilant because, they're just looking for ways to sell it to people and to manufacture consent for these systems. Ultimately, if they can't appeal to one set of talking points isn't working, they're going to switch to complete polar opposite talking points, but the solution's the same, right? And, again, this is the public-private partnership that we're dealing with, stakeholder capitalism, and all of that. And actually, if you look at the war on domestic terror framework that was developed during the Biden administration, if you are a criticism of any form of capitalism, including stakeholder capitalism, you can be considered a domestic terrorist by the federal government now. So you don't like Larry Fink and Klaus Schwab's stakeholder capitalism? Uh-oh. And also anyone that doesn't like perceived government overreach. Uh-oh. That's not good. Yeah, but what we've seen time and again over the past 20 plus years is that one administration puts stuff in and then the next administration of the opposing party uses that as building blocks. And we've gotten to this the infrastructure for an extremely dystopian techno tyranny is practically here. And I think what we're seeing is a major effort to manufacture consent so that a large segment of the population cheers it on as the only possible solution. And this really concerns me when you consider that Peter Thiel is a major funding source for most of the biggest voices in alternative media. Not to mention the fact that he dominates, the investments for Rumble, which is framed as the, alternative to YouTube and stuff. People should be really concerned about that, I think, considering the Palantir connection, all this data mining stuff in the CEO of Palantir's I don't like Christian conservatives, and they've all sort of been herded onto Rumble. And so your Rumble account, the videos you watch, the videos you like, what you say in the comments, can we trust that it doesn't get sent off to Palantir? Considering the mutual Peter Thiel connection? I don't know. I would like someone to ask the Rumble people that question.
These Silicon Valley oligarchs and their government puppets worldwide have effectively trapped us with no end in sight. As Whitney Webb puts it, politicians on both sides are essentially the same, pushing an elitist agenda. They are close to establishing an extreme dystopian techno-tyranny to achieve their goal of global subjugation. By all indications, we are on the brink of a you'll own nothing and be happy world order. This is why they are dropping the pretense of being separate entities. Although the public-private partnership has only recently been promoted, it has always existed as a coalition against the common person, a partnership of corrupt intelligence agencies, megalomaniac billionaires, and spineless politicians who failed to protect the interests of those they vowed to serve. Let's return to Whitney's video for more insights.
But either way, because of the extreme funding of alternative media by Thiel, very few people talk about him and very few people talk about Palantir, and it's been that way for several years, hoping that will change. But the question is obviously the government the US has now is terrible, but people need to think seriously about what the stakes are and how many election cycles this country can go voting for the lesser of two evils, because, if you're going to get the same bipartisan surveillance police state agenda, regardless of who you vote for, is that really what we want to keep doing? Is that really how we fight and stop this? I don't think so. But, if I have any sort of reasonable criticism of this bipartisan blob that has been, destroying our society and implementing all of these Orwellian technologies and policies for decades, people say I love Democrats and I have Trump derangement syndrome. No, I don't like any politician. I've never backed any of them. I don't know. I think they're all organized crime. I've been pretty explicit about that, but apparently in some circles, you can't have the opinion that both are bad anymore.
They control Truth, X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, all the things that you are participating and taking in content from, Instagram. All these networks are held by very, very similar people that are all in connection with each other. And then especially when you look at the VC stuff behind it, there's an insane amount of connections between all these people and all of these networks, not to mention the internet service providers. And you start to see that there's really, honestly, seriously a conspiracy against our perception via the content algorithms that are manipulated and controlled by these data barons. And here we are. And again, it's just, I've seen the phase shift happen in real time. I've seen the people coming out cheering about Milei as he dollarizes the country and sells out the minerals to Israel and brings in JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and all these people to help his cabinet and dissolves the right to print money. Why shouldn't he be able to print money? That you're actually taking away a tool from the people to be able to do something with. Yes, it's been manipulated by private sector goblins that have jumped into the public sector when it's convenient for them. But these are tools that citizens should have. If we're free market capitalists, you should be able to make money. You should be able to create money. But we've been so controlled and our reactions so simulated via stimulus that I think we really have no idea what we're just kind of passively letting happen.
In the case of Milei, though, I just want to say that the play there, it seems to be, if you look at influential people in the Argentinian fintech space, and also this broader network that Mark and I have now a couple articles writing about, the plan there is to develop stable coins backed by commodities, specifically in the case of Argentina, grain exports. So in that case, maybe he might get rid of the central bank even, or something like that at some point. But instead, you're going to have these stable coins tied to commodities, and whoever owns those commodities, which in Argentina, I can tell you, they are all oligarchs. A very small just like in every other Latin American country, it's a small group of oligarchs that have been in charge of those respective countries for a very long time. They own the commodities, and they're going to be basically your central bank replacement.
The solution is already in place, and all that remains for global elites is to orchestrate a crisis to finalize their plans. This won't be just any crisis. It will be a total collapse of the global financial system, with catastrophic impacts on millions of everyday people, including workers, parents, and caregivers. Meanwhile, the wealthiest 1% will seize everything. Whitney predicts this crisis will rival or exceed the economic devastation of World War II. After the upheaval, central and commercial banks will eagerly introduce digital currencies, encouraging people to adopt them as compensation for their losses. However, individuals will only recover a fraction of what they lost and will have to forfeit their privacy and other rights to the global elite. Please share your thoughts on Whitney's warnings about the controlled media and the controversial public-private partnership in the comments below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these two awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.